Man City Arsenal. So I've heard a lot of pundits, a lot of football fanatics complaining that the match against Man City, that's Man City versus Arsenal, on the Easter Sunday yesterday was a very boring match. Coach BI came out to call out Arsenal players for defending low blocks and not attacking at all. I've heard, on Talk Sports England, where some Liverpool fans and Man City fans actually came to call out Arsenal players for the way they defended yesterday. But there's something that I need everybody to understand, which is Arsenal have actually improved a whole lot under Mikel Arteta. If Arsenal had lost that match yesterday, it would have been the same old song that, everybody sings at Arsenal FC, and that is that they are butlers. When it matters most, they don't step up. Arsenal is the only big team that's actually taken 4 points off of Man City this season. They've met 3 times this season. They won twice and they drew one. Trust me when I tell you that's a good enough result. Is it a setback on the title race? Yes, a bit. It's a setback a bit because Liverpool won their match against Brighton. But a draw, it's a very okay result for Arsenal. It means that we're still in the title race. If we had gotten beaten yesterday, then that would have been a different story. For a team of Man City's pedigree, it's been over 3 years that Man City have failed to score at the Etihad until they played against Arsenal. Trust me, that is a very good statement from Arsenal players. And yesterday was, the only time in a very long time that Man City have actually played that well, gotten enough possession, and not scored a goal. It's a first time in a very long time that a team have gone to the Etihad and kept a clean sheet. There are a lot of records that were made yesterday in that match. So kudos to Arsenal players, kudos to Mikel Arteta for trying to, find a way to get a point. It's not easy going to Etihad. A lot of teams have gone there and they've either gotten beaten or got battered. It's a place that is almost a nightmare for everybody. Arsenal went there with a game plan. That is, if they're not going to win, then they must not lose. Arteta said that if we're not going to win, we must not lose. And trust me, I think Arsenal had more clear-cut chances. Yes, Man City dominated possession and all of that, but Arsenal had clear-cut chances. 2 from Gabriel Jesus, 1 from Trossard, and 1 from Saka. Clear-cut chances where would have buried that game, but that game was meant to be a draw, and obviously it ended that way, and we can't complain. We move. Next game, Luton, before, the Champions League first leg at the Emirates with Bayern Munich next week, Tuesday. Did you imagine that for majority of that match, Kevin De Bruyne was not in that match? He got frustrated. Players like Phil Foden, who are, players that have actually been performing differently, on different occasions for their Man City team, got missing. They were not seen in the match. Apart from Bernardo Silva, who was making, Jacob Kiwior's evening a very difficult one, no other Man City, midfielder or attacker actually pressured the Arsenal defense. Haaland was made to look like a League Two player, according to the Man United legend Roy Keane. That he apart from the fact that he's a goal poacher, whenever he's in front of goal, he scores goals, which is very fine. But his all-round play, his general play, is not good at all. That he looked at him as a League Two player. So these are things that I feel we should look at and give kudos to Arsenal players for. I was here talking about, how this match is we're going to play on the weekend. I was expecting Chelsea to actually win that match, even though I said in my video, 2 days before now, that Burnley is going to be a very tough test for Chelsea because they have very good players in Kelly O'Shaw and some very few players who can hurt, Chelsea on the counter. Eventually, Chelsea played out a 2-2 draw. Man United went away to Brentford. They got a 92-minute goal, only for them to concede an equalizer in 96 minutes. They played out a draw too. The big winners of the weekend was Liverpool, who actually beat Brighton convincingly 2-1. So these are things that happen in the EPL that you cannot actually phantom. The EPL is one of the most difficult league. Do you understand? It doesn't have to do with how good you are, or every game has its own dynamism. You approach every game differently. In the EPL, if you think that you're going to play, a game like you played the previous game, then you're in for it. So, enough of this talk that Arsenal are actually, bottling FC. I think, if anything, they made a statement that they've come to stay in the Premier League. So, moving away from the Premier League, Real Madrid won courtesy of 2 goals from Rodrigo. They actually, beat Atletico Bilbao, and that's a very big statement for Real Madrid. Moving into the Champions League game against Man City. Pep Guardiola was asked if his team is ready, given the fact that they just drew to Arsenal, and all he said is, it's the Champions League and that's the Premier League. Every game is quite different, and that's exactly what I want people to understand. So the next game for Real Madrid, is going to be focusing on their match with Man City, and we're going to be looking at how that is going to unfold. Barcelona played against Las Palmas, and they actually won their match 1-0. The shocker for the weekend in the Bundesliga was Bayern Munich, playing against Dortmund. It was a very surprising result for a lot of people who were expecting, Bayern Munich to actually win that match. But to a lot of people's dismay, Borussia Dortmund actually, beat Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena 2-0. And Bayern Leverkusen was able to, take off a lot of scare off of their fans when they came back from 1-0 down to actually win their match 2-1 and ensure that their unbeaten record is intact, and they remain top of the German league. So this is how the weekend unfolded in all these big teams across Europe. And we for the EPL we have 9 matches to go, and a lot can still happen. And trust me when I tell you, if there's one league that tends to surprise people, where you have a lot of surprises, is the EPL. Matches that are still yet to be played, teams will still drop points, some teams will still amass points. I feel personally that this particular EPL title will go down the wire. What I mean is that the last match, the 38th match of the EPL, might be the decider. After the match, probably, you know, to tell who is going to win the EPL. So don't forget to like, to comment, and share our videos on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Touchline Insight. I'm your host Abdul. I'll see you on the next episode of Touchline Insight videos. But before then, stay blessed.